Hello Year 3 and welcome to today's reading lesson. The date today is the 1st of March 2021 and our learning objective today is to explore new words. The success criteria for that, to help us achieve that goal, is that we're going to find words that we don't know the meaning of in a story, and we're going to use the context to make a good guess about what these words mean. This week we are having a little break from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and we are going to read one of Aesop's fables. I would like you to pause the video and have a think about what you think I've put these pictures up for. So the picture is Aesop, and so is the sculpture, and you might have guessed that Aesop is very, very old. So this is from a long time ago into the past. Actually 564 BC, so a very, very long time ago. And he wrote many fables. So the picture with the man with all the books is just to show that he wrote so many stories and so many fables. Can anybody have a guess how many they think Aesop wrote? How many fables? He actually wrote 725 fables, so that's a lot of stories. Now, a fable is not a big book. It's just a short story with a moral. The fable we are going to read today is called The Gnat and the Lion. So can you take a look at this picture, pause the video and have a think what you can see in that picture. So of course there is a lion, but we can also see a spider. And did anybody else spot the tiny little insect just here? Because that is the gnat. Based on this picture, what do you think might happen in the story? Who is the good guy? Who is the bad guy? We've got a lion, we've got the gnat, we have a spider. Let's look at another picture. How does the lion look like he's feeling there? Does he look happy? And then again, there's a picture of the lion in the background. How does he look? And the gnat we can see much more clearly now. Let's have another look at another picture. How about this one? Is the lion looking happy there? And how is that gnat looking? Is it looking like he's helping the lion? Not sure. Pause the video and have a think. What do you think this story is going to be about? So let's make a start on our fable. The name of the fable is The Gnat and the Lion, as we mentioned, but it says by Jan Payne. What this means is, because Aesop is so old and from such a long time ago, that it's been passed down through many different languages and through many different countries. So it has to be rewritten many times. And so it changes a little bit and the language changes a little bit. But Jan Payne is the person who has rewritten the story for us. Far, far away in a hot land called Africa lived a gnat and a lion. These two creatures were complete opposites. One was weak and one was strong. One was huge and one was tiny. One was fierce and one was timid. They met one dark night, and this is what happened. The gnat had gone to sleep. He had made himself a swinging hammock on a blade of grass, and he was snoring gently. So before we carry on, let's have a think. Are there any words there that we do not know? So first of all, let's think about that word gnat. What is a gnat? We saw it in the picture. It's kind of like a little insect, a little parasite that will bite and suck the blood from another creature. So they're very small and they're not big and strong, but they are quite dangerous. Another word you might have noticed there was the word timid. What do we think timid means? So the story is telling us that these two creatures were opposites. One was fierce, which means angry and aggressive, and one was timid. So what might timid mean if it is the opposite of fierce? Let's write these words down in our new word sheet. So we'll have gnat and timid. So maybe timid, if it's the opposite of fierce, it means gentle and afraid. The lion was awake. He was hunting and his roar could be heard in the distance. It woke the gnat. "What is that?" he asked. The lion roared again. The sound was even louder. "It's getting closer," thought the gnat, holding his breath. A minute later, the lion came into view. When the gnat saw who it was, he felt relieved. "Oh," he said, "it's only you." This annoyed the lion. "Only me?" he murmured silkily, narrowing his yellow eyes. "Are you aware I am the king of the beasts?" When lions narrow their eyes and murmur silkily, they are at their most dangerous, but the gnat wasn't worried. He opened his tiny mouth and yawned. "Ah, you may be the king of the beasts," he said, "but I can outwit you any time." Before we move on, how about some words that we might never have heard before? The word murmured, what might that mean? So the lion said, "Only me," like this. So that might be a way of speaking, a low tone way of speaking. And silkily, he murmured silkily. How do we think that sounds? If we think about the silk, the fabric, it's very smooth, isn't it? So it could be very sneaky. And then we have this word narrowing. Does anyone know what narrowing means? If you narrow your eyes, you make them very thin. So when you narrow something, you make it a little bit more thin. So here the lion is murmuring silkily. He's narrowing his eyes. He's very, very fierce looking. And this is where they say that lions are at their most dangerous. And the gnat, he doesn't care. He's not worried about it at all. So let's write these new words down. We have murmur, silkily, and narrowing. The lion snorted. "Ha!" he said. "I could flatten you with one swipe of my paw." The gnat stood up on his spindly legs. "Go on then," he said. Do we have a word there maybe? This word spindly is interesting. So if a gnat stands up on his spindly legs, what do a gnat's legs look like? Has the legs of an insect, so they're very thin, very strong, but quite long. So long and thin is the meaning of spindly. Let's write that on our new word sheet. The lion raised his paw above his head and brought it down as hard as he could. The gnat jumped out of the way. "Missed me," he said. Humming a little tune, he began buzzing round the lion's head. Zzz, zzz, diddly diddly dee, zzz, zzz, try and catch me. The lion was furious. He twisted his head this way and that. He snapped, he snarled, he swirled his tail. He swiped with his paws, but the gnat was too nimble. A thought came into the lion's head. So this word is interesting. The gnat was too nimble. So the lion is attacking and snapping and snarling and trying to get the gnat, but the gnat is too nimble to be caught. So maybe nimble, what maybe you think about what nimble might mean. We'll write it down on the list. If I keep perfectly still, the gnat will settle down and I can pounce. But the gnat didn't settle down. He acted quickly. He flew straight up the lion's nose and began to bite. Roaring with pain, the lion shook his head. He stuffed his claws up his nose. The gnat pulled the hairs inside the lion's nostrils. "Make me the king of the beasts," he called. "Never!" roared the lion. The gnat bit him again. The lion's nose began to swell. He could hardly breathe. "Say it," said the gnat. "Say the gnat is the king of the beasts." The lion could bear it no longer. "The gnat is the king of the beasts," he muttered. His face hurt, his nose was running, his eyes were watering. Without saying another word, the once proud lion turned and disappeared into the long grass. The gnat was full of glee. "I am the smartest creature that ever lived," he boasted. He began looking for a new place to make his home. He wanted something soft and comfortable. A head draped over a bush was what looked like a white lacy shawl. So I would like to take one word and see if you know the meaning of this word. The word glee. It says the gnat was full of glee. So he has defeated the lion. He flew up the lion's nose and pulled the lion's hair and made him very upset. And made the lion say that the gnat was the king of the beasts. So how do we think the gnat is feeling now if he's full of glee? Is he sad maybe? What do you think? Let's put that on the new words list. Glee. "That's perfect," said the gnat, and he wrapped himself in it. At first, the gnat didn't notice a small creature moving swiftly towards him, climbing delicately over the lacy threads. When he did, it was too late. "Hello, gnat," said the spider. The gnat tried to fly away, but he was stuck. "You can't harm me," he said. "I'm the new king of the beasts." "We'll see about that," said the spider, and he ate the gnat for his supper. That was the story of the gnat and the lion. And is it what you thought it was going to be about? Did you correctly guess who would be the good guy and who would be the bad guy? It turns out, doesn't it, that the gnat became very boastful and he really wanted to be the king of the beasts. So he hurt the lion a lot, he attacked the lion and forced the lion to admit that he was the king of the beasts. He became so lazy and so sure that no one could defeat him that he took a nice relaxing sleep in a spider's web, and the spider ate him up for supper. So, that was our reading for today, and these are our new words. Gnat, timid, murmur, silkily, narrowing, spindly, nimble, and glee. And I'm going to put a little quiz onto Teams for you guys to take a look at. If you need to refresh yourself about some of the words, just feel free to watch this video again, and that might help you in the assignment. Okay, good luck with that, guys.